I think the timing of my business as well. I had the Free Britney stuff there, but this is crazy. I went to the termination hearing on November 12th, and we had no idea if they were going to terminate the conservatorship that day. It was just another court hearing. But I had created an entire line that said past tense, we freed Britney. And I brought it with us. I brought like three sweatshirts and a hoodie just in case. They were in my backpack. And then I had my laptop with me too at this court hearing. And then probably like 45 minutes into the hearing, we're all outside the Stanley Moss courthouse. There was probably MTV was there, all the news stations were there. It was a huge deal at this point because the documentaries had already come out. And they make the announcement like the conservatorship has been terminated. And I literally grabbed the t-shirts out of my backpack. I threw them at my friends and I like threw mine on and I hit live on the website. I was like, and when I hit that button, the product was emailed out to everyone and it said, "We freed Britney." It was like a huge celebratory thing. And I just remember the news stations running up to me and they were like, "How do you guys already have merchandise? How did you guys know?" And I was like, that event like catapulted my followership and my business.
This time on the Plutopia podcast, our friend Alexandra Alvarez returns to talk about her new company. Her activity supporting the Free Britney movement, which was seeking an end to Britney Spears' court-ordered guardianship, helped jumpstart her line of fashion and pop culture goodies. We talk about her move from major studio casting to independent designer and marketer.
Hey, welcome everybody to another episode of the Plutopia podcast. Our guest today is Alexandra Alvarez, Alex Alvarez. This is her second time to join us. The last time you were with us, Alex, you were working in Hollywood. So what's happened since then?
I thought, do I go back to casting what I know, or do I give this a shot and give it a chance? And it was scary, but I decided to, trust in myself and put my faith in myself in this business that I created. And now I'm doing that full time.
So your departure from the gig you had there in Los Angeles, did that have anything to do with the pandemic?
I wouldn't say that it had to do directly with the pandemic. I do think that, a lot of people, you're kind of reevaluating with work from home. I think the pandemic definitely, it brought on the Great Resignation, but it also made people realize, not just like the flexibility of working from home, but, with all the tragic deaths that were happening, it kind of made people sit back and kind of reevaluate their life, reevaluate their work. And it's like, okay, is this really what I want to be doing? I could get sick with this virus and then I'll be gone in 2 weeks. So I think it had me thinking like, I've been doing casting and working in Hollywood for 4 years, and I found this new passion running my business. And I've thought, if now is not the time to give it 100%, then when is? So.
Go ahead.
I have a lot of friends that did that same thing. It was easy to make a decision for some of them just because having that first chance to be at home for a long time and do other things, really changed their lives. And I was lucky that I didn't have to do that. We'd already retired and done our own thing that John and I have going. But one thing I noticed you were involved with was the Free Britney campaign. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I've been a diehard Britney Spears fan since I was like 5 years old, since she first came on the scene. So, she'd been in this conservatorship for about 13 years, and we knew something was up. We knew, how, generally conservatorships are held for the elderly that can't feed themselves or dress themselves or bathe themselves. So, she was put into this conservatorship.
Like Scoop and I.
Yes. No, you guys are better than that. She was put into this conservatorship at 26 years old, like the height of her career, just because she had 2 infant children, and she had, her whole life was in the spotlight. She had this mental breakdown. So it was suspicious that she was put into this conservatorship in the first place. And then, again, like if you're most people that are under these conservatorships, I've never read about a conservatee that has a job. And she was touring the world. She had a 5-year residency in Vegas. She was making a ton of people a lot of money, and she had no access to any of it. There was a point where she couldn't legally write a check, or she didn't own the $5 that were in her pocket.
I'm horrified to hear that money was involved in all that.
Yeah. And, I think that they held her children over her head, and they said, if you're going to do this, and, or else you're not going to see your kids. And the public had already pictured her as this unstable, unfit mother after the whole shaving of the head incident, which is so funny because now girls shave their heads to be cool. Do you know what I mean? So it's like
Jada Pinkett Smith.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, she did it because of alopecia, and Britney did it because she was having some kind of break, right?
Yeah. And I think that's that was probably her form of expressing herself. It was the only thing that she had control over, and so she wanted to stick it to them and be like, I'm going to do what I want to do. So we knew this conservatorship was happening. It wasn't until 2018 when she announced a tour, or they reimagined, I guess, redid the Vegas residency. So she had done Vegas for 5 years, and then she was asked, 4 months later, to do a completely new show. And she refused to do so. And then they canceled the entire, she needed a break. And she was like, I don't want to do it. They put her on new medicine. They sent her away to a mental health facility. They canceled the tour. They took away her social media. They took away her children. And that's when her fans discovered, basically one of Britney's former assistants came forward and went on a podcast and kind of like was the whistleblower and told them all about all these horrible things that were happening to her. So the fans rallied, and it grew really, really big and got really, really crazy. And there was rallies for about 6 months all over. I did rallies in Austin and Los Angeles and in Florida, and then eventually went to the court hearings. And she was freed on November 12th of 2021 after almost 14 years, unable to say anything. So
sadly, that has happened a lot in Hollywood. A lot of unscrupulous managers and parents and relationships go wrong, and they end up affecting some innocent person that was just a talented person that lost control of their lives.
It's really sad to see like how much money talks and how much it can shift relationships between your closest friends, even your family. That money is unfortunately very powerful tool to controlling someone.
But it sounds like essentially she was just being treated as a product, right?
Yeah. And there was a quote from her father, Jamie Spears. It's funny because it came out in a documentary about her tour, and they're all sitting at a table, and one of the managers is like, is she going to work on her birthday? And she's like, oh, December 2nd is her birthday. And the dad's like, oh no, she'll work on her birthday. And he said, Britney is a racehorse, and she's meant to work, is what he said.
Did watching that play out have an effect on your decision to move in a different direction?
I think so. I think, working in Hollywood, it is a bunch of smoke and mirrors, and it's very sad watching a lot of your favorite actors and these super talented people essentially being treated like circus animals. Hollywood is definitely an illusion, but it's an illusion that is sold very, very well. I think people have these big dreams that they're going to go down to Hollywood and be this big thing. And I always tell them, I was like, I don't know if you've ever been to 6th Street in Austin, Texas, but that's very much like Hollywood. It's like there's nothing special. It's like a dirty old street.
It seems like that people handle it in different ways. There's some people who figure out how to go along with the system there, but also kind of stay sane and not kind of get into any of the craziness, and have a more or less normal life, about as normal as they could make it. And then there's some people who go full tilt boogie into being celebrities and play that game big time, and maybe do things that are a bit excessive and maybe have a little less stability. And then there's people who reject it totally, so totally that they become outcasts in Hollywood. You know, I'm thinking about somebody like Sean Young, who was really a complete square peg there, you know, and kind of didn't fit into the star system. And even though she had a really great career trajectory going, it's like she just kind of bailed on it, you know?
Well, I think it's interesting. I think some of my favorite actors and the most talented actors, they didn't go to theater school. They just kind of fell into it, you know. I think about like I was watching the Johnny and Amber trial earlier, and it's like he fell into acting. You know, Nicolas Cage got him into acting because they were good friends. And he's like, you know, whatever, I'll try. It's not for everyone, but I think that there are those people, you know, people that work really, really hard for it and then make it. And then, you know, that's their passion. And then I think a lot of people just kind of fall into it and get sucked into the world.
I heard you talking about Johnny Depp the other day. What do you think about the Johnny and Amber thing? Amber's one of our Austinites, right? She's an Austin person.
I found that out today. I was getting my hair done earlier and they're like, oh, she went to Westlake. And I was like, what? I had no idea she was from Austin.
Yeah. And she went to St. Michael's Academy too, I think.
Yeah. I was like, that's crazy. The case is fascinating. I think that, you know, from what I've seen, it's very sad. I think that they both abused each other for sure, but it's terrifying to see how, you know, it's usually a man is not believed, I guess, when you know, accusations come out like that. They generally side with the woman, and I feel like in this case, like a man's voice is finally being heard, and you know, she's not going to go down without, you know, she's not going to go down without you being held responsible. I think that,
you know, it used to be the other way around. It used to be
yeah,
that they would listen to the guy and they wouldn't listen to the woman. So that's kind of why it's moved in the other direction now. So in a way that's understandable, but certainly they both had an interesting story to tell.
it's very interesting. It's bizarre and it's evolving, and I just hope, you know, it's sad, and kind of back to the Hollywood thing, like he lost, you know, his reputation's been tarnished, whether you think he's a good guy or a bad guy, you know, he's never returning to Disney again. You know, even if Disney invited him back, he had said, you know, it's not happening, you know, because I would, you know, I wouldn't go back. I would feel ashamed and, you know, embarrassed. And, you know, they essentially took a rumor and they took it for face value. And, you know, now he lost a role that he's been playing for the past 25 years.
Yeah, I happened to run across the coverage that TMZ has been running on the whole thing, and pretty tacky coverage too. You know, that's something you can count on in the entertainment business. Is that you know, no matter how good you are, someone's going to find a way of twisting your situation to make a sensational story, and that's what seems to be going on both sides of that situation.
Yeah, anything to grab the public attention and, you know, keep
We should try to be more like TMZ. I think those guys make a lot of money doing what they're doing, don't they?
I'll take the bank accounts, but I don't want to go through that.
So I have one question about, so I know that there are some people, I think including yourself, who are distributing some merchandise that is Free Britney merchandise. Has there been any kind of like concern from the Britney Spears people that they should be getting some of that money or anything like that?
Oh yeah. So before Britney was freed, I was doing Free Britney stuff, and then it's switched over to Freed Britney, past tense. I've experienced excruciating online hate. I've been called a grifter. I've been called an opportunist. I've been called all of these awful everything under the sun names. You know, my business, if you go to my website, you go every the proceeds for those items, I don't make a dime off of. I donate to the National Association to Stop Guardianship Abuse. Yes. Oh my God, there's my website. So on all, if you like go to the Britney Spears stuff, there should be, if you go shop, yeah, there you go. Oh my God, how cute. And then go to collections. Not that one, sorry, shop and then collections. But basically, yeah, and then Freed Britney. Sorry, it's kind of complicated. Yeah, it says that's the first line. There's a link right there to their website. It's a devastating website to see how many people are in guardianships. So I donate the proceeds to them. I think that, but at the same time, if you go on Etsy or if you go on Amazon right now, there are so many people that are profiting off of Britney's name. And I didn't want to be one of those people. I wanted to kind of raise awareness, give back, and then just like do what I could to redirect it. Because like once Britney's free, the majority of the fan base forgot that, conservatorships existed, but there's 1.3 million people in the US alone that are under these, guardianships. Some of them do need to be under them, but I'm sure there's plenty of cases where, there's similar ties if there's money involved. I know Nichelle Nichols from Star Trek is in one right now, and that story is absolutely devastating. She's going through something very similar to Britney, and she's in her 80s, and it's sad thinking that she may not have the freedom to live the rest of her life as she pleases.
I think before he died, Stan Lee, of Marvel, had a similar situation.
And it all comes down to like money, and it's sad because it's with Nichelle, it's her son that he's trying to fight to take all of her money, and she's been very vocal. She's like, I'm fine, like I just want to live the rest of my life out in my home. It's very sad. But
I'm surprised you haven't been getting hate mail from the grifters who are profiting off of Britney.
It's mostly just random like Twitter trolls that anytime I release anything, they hate on me about it. And I've had to just kind of like brush it under the rug. It's like, listen, like I feel for you that you have to wake up and like that's how you choose to like go about your day. Is like you wake up and you check my website and you try to find something to like be mad about. Like,
but to be clear, you're saying that the Britney people have never tried to get you to share any of the money with them, correct?
Oh, no. And I've had people, purchase from me instead of going onto Etsy because I do donate. They really do kind of like that model. Like I would rather give to someone that's, helping the community and giving back than not. And it's interesting because, the traffic to my website, they buy other things that are not related. So I'm still able to like run my business and put money back into it and stuff. So it's not like I'm like completely like zeroed out or anything.
Well, I'm going to ask you a couple of big questions that I think you might talk about kind of at length, but I'm kind of wondering, like, how do you go about building a business like this? And how does the product part work and how does the marketing part work?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started this business. It was really funny. I saw a commercial that said like, it's like, it was an inspirational commercial about how Jeff Bezos started Amazon with like a $30,000 loan from his parents. Don't tell my mom. Actually, she'll probably hear this. It was one day I was short on rent money. I'll never forget it. And I said, Mom, I need to borrow, $500 for my new business venture. And she's like, what is it? And I was like, I'll tell you when it's ready. And she says, okay, Alex. And she's like, I'm not going to give you that. And I was like, Mom, Jeff Bezos's parents believed in him. They gave him 30 grand, like $500 is nothing. Like I'm going to start this company. I had nothing planned. I had nothing in my head. I was just like in a hole. And so
grifter, you're a grifter.
I'm a grifter. I guess I was like in a tight spot. And so my mom helps me out. She's an angel. She helped me out. And then, I get paid, ended up paying her back. And I was like, you know what? I was like, I could actually start a business. I was like, wait, now I have to actually do something, because she was asking me, so how's your business going? And I was like, what business? And then one day I ended up on TikTok on a small business rabbit hole. And I'm just watching videos about these girls making stickers and making planners and making t-shirts and all these things. And I was like, this is so cool. Like, this is so fun. I was like, I would love to, I think I could do something like this for sure. And then the craziest part is I started doing my research. I went onto YouTube, and YouTube was my biggest, I call it like the YouTube university, because that's where I learned everything. I went there, and you can find step-by-step, everything, how to set up an LLC or a sole proprietorship, how to do the small business taxes, how to build a website. And I just dove in. And, as the process was going, I kept, I kind of targeted like a niche that I wanted to stick with, and like a design, and like I built my website, and I taught myself everything over the span of probably like, I think it was 4 months. I wanted to give myself a full 6 months to get the website going. But as I was building the website and getting everything ready, I created an Instagram account for my website. There was nothing on it. And so once I had like business cards and stuff, I gave some to my mom, and I said, hold on to these so you can give them out to your friends once the business launches. She gave them out 3 months before the business was supposed to launch. They followed the Instagram page. Then the Instagram algorithm told everyone they know this page exists, you should follow it. And then kind of snowballed, and everyone started following it. I'm getting text messages like, what is this? Like, your name's on this. Like, is this your business? Like, what's on here? Like, I'm so confused. There's nothing on the page besides like the website, the title, under construction, coming soon. And I was like, oh my God, I have to figure it out, and I have to put it together right now. So I launched about 2.5 months earlier than I expected. But when I did, it was overwhelmingly cool. It was such an experience. I had so much traffic on my website the first day. It's ever evolving, and it's ever changing, and it's so cool that my my customer base is growing, and they're kind of evolving with me, and they tell me what they want to see, which is the coolest part about doing something that is creative. And I have my hands in. I can see what works and see what doesn't. And as far as product, I started with products that I thought would work really well. And that was a huge learning curve, because something that not everyone's going to find something that I like, they're not going to like it as well. So I'm learning, and you have to do a lot of market research about what sells and what doesn't, and you'd be very, very surprised what does well and what doesn't. It's kind of shocking.
So to what extent does the success you're having so far depend on the fact that you were already kind of established in social media as an influencer?
I think it did really well, because I was talking to my mom about this yesterday. Most small businesses start on Etsy or a marketplace where it's auto generated traffic. When you are on Etsy, as you upload a listing to Etsy, you're charged for advertising fees, and you can't get out of it. You upload a product, Etsy's going to push it out, because Etsy wants to make a buck. They want to get their percentage. So Etsy has a lot of great, organic traffic from people all over the world. With my business, I did it the opposite. Most people start in Etsy, and then once they gain a following, they kind of, breach off Etsy, create their own Shopify store, and continue their business. I started my business directly through Shopify. And I wanted to have I guess control over the vision and what it looked like, and when people went to my website, versus when you go to Etsy, it's kind of looking like at an eBay listing. It's very general and basic. But so I wanted to have control of what my website looked like, what my brand looked like, about my story. I wanted people to know why I was there. I think my following definitely helped. I think the timing of my business as well. I had the free Britney stuff there, but this is crazy. I went to the termination hearing on November 12th, and we had no idea if they were going to terminate the conservatorship that day. It was just another court hearing. But I had created an entire line that said past tense, we freed Britney. And I brought it with us. I brought like three sweatshirts and a hoodie just in case. They were in my backpack. And then I had my laptop with me too at this court hearing. And then probably like 45 minutes into the hearing, we're all outside the Stanley Mosk courthouse. There was probably MTV was there. All the news stations were there. It was a huge deal at this point because the documentaries had already come out. And they make the announcement like the conservatorship has been terminated. And I literally grabbed the t-shirts out of my backpack. I threw them at my friends and I like threw mine on and I hit live on the website. I was like, and when I hit that button, the product was emailed out to everyone and it said, "We freed Britney." It was like a huge celebratory thing. And I just remember the news stations running up to me and they were like, "How do you guys already have merchandise? How did you guys know?" And I was like, it was crazy. It was crazy. And this one news anchor was like, "You're very smart." He's like, "They do this at the Super Bowl championships. They have winning t-shirts for both teams ready because they don't know who it's going to be." But he's like, "In your case, there's either an outcome or there's not." So followership in my business. So I think that brought a lot of traffic for sure.
I'm not surprised that you've had great success. In fact, I think John and I need to hire you for marketing.
Yeah.
That's one of the best campaigns I've heard about. I majored in marketing before I got into radio and music, and they were always saying, be original and don't just do a copycat thing. And you maintain control of your business, and that's really important. Too many people give it up and let someone kind of have a say in how it looks and how it's presented. But that seemed to have worked real well for you.
Yeah, it was definitely a very exciting time, and I thought like, what's the worst that could happen? I make all of my stuff to order. I don't have like a bulk order of printed anything. I do it all by myself. So in my head, I was like, you know what? It's either going to hit or miss. And it hit. And it was the next couple weeks after that was insane.
How long is it going to be before you can't really scale anymore to doing it just yourself?
I have been asking for help on my social medias to kind of gauge who is able to kind of help me, like either remotely, like editing the website or uploading products. I do eventually need like an in-house assistant, I guess. Which is crazy because I feel like I'm just working out of my bedroom, and I feel so weird asking for help because I'm definitely not like Amazon or at any huge scale like that, but it's like it's growing faster than I can keep up with. And
this is kind of a Tim Ferriss problem. Are you acquainted with Tim Ferriss? He lives in Austin now. But he's a pretty well-known guy. He's written several books, and his first book was called The 4-Day Work Week.
Oh, yes.
And it was really all about delegating, all about finding people who can help you and support you and delegating work to others and so forth. And there's a whole realm of virtual assistants now. So
yes,
you can find those people, you can hire those people. A lot of it is in finding the right one,
Yeah. And I think that, that's where I made my first mistake by asking like my fan base or my friends, like, "Hey, I need help," because that's such a blurry line between friendship and business. I think that you're very right that I'm going to probably have to hire someone that I don't even know, that's a professional at, assisting or what have you, because I don't want, it's such a blurry line. I don't want to ruin a friendship or any other kind of relationship just to get help around,
You ought to have a conversation with Kendra Scott and find out.
Oh my gosh.
She started as small as this, and look where she is now.
Blew up. Yeah. I think the cool thing is like, as my business is evolving, when I first started it, I was like, what happens when I run out of ideas? Like, what happens when there is no more content, or there's no, like, when I when I already go through all of the holidays. And the craziest thing is, because I did integrate the Britney thing, I've been able to integrate other pop culture aspects. And my best selling thing right now is the stupidest thing. Let me see if I have it. It is a wine glass and a Pilsner glass that I made that has a stupid quote that Johnny Depp said at the court hearing that people thought was so funny. I've made over like 50 sales of that one wine glass, and they're buying it for like $40.
That's a
Which,
great idea, and that is where you get new ideas, is just by paying attention to what's going on around you. What's the world interested in? What are you interested in? And it. I don't think you'll run out of ideas anytime soon.
yeah, it's definitely ever evolving, and I kind of find some comfort in that there's always going to be, with pop culture, it's like ever changing. And there's fandoms for everything, and I'm not obviously not going to cover every single fandom, but it is a fascinating space to be able to work in.
You've got Jeff Goldblum on speed dial, don't you? He can help you with ideas.
I know, I should put his face on something.
He's got a movie coming out.
He does.
So, on the social media side of things, has this sort of, I mean, you were doing kind of social media for fun as much as anything. Is this sort of like crowding out your ability to do that?
Yes and no. I think that social media is part of my daily life, and it's something that I still do enjoy doing. My business pages have become like a job, but because my personal is there too, they're all kind of integrated and they're all kind of connected. I still enjoy it, but it is very it's all consuming, which sometimes you just have to like turn off the phone and like relax. But then there's another thing. Like, I remember I was watching the Oscars, and I went to bed early, and I was like, I'm tired of looking at my phone, updating my business page, I'm going to sleep, like whatever. I wake up the next morning, and apparently Will Smith smacked Chris Rock in the face, and I missed that, and I'm like, oh crap. And someone was like, can you put that on a t-shirt or something? And I was like, I don't know if that's really my style, but I like Googled it, and like there was hundreds of Etsy listings of people that had already jumped on that trend. So it's kind of like a 24-hour thing when you're, running a business like that. But I think my socials are I still enjoy them for the most part.
Well, you brought up the famous slap at the Oscars. As somebody who worked out in Hollywood, what did you think about that?
Well, I'm a conspiracy theorist sometimes. After when I saw it, I was like, and I was in shock. I definitely think there's, violence is definitely not the answer, especially in front of the world. You didn't just slap someone in front of the Oscars theater. It was in front of the world, and I think he acted emotionally and not intelligently. But I did find out yesterday that Pfizer is coming out with a new alopecia drug, which is the condition that Jada has, and Pfizer sponsored the Oscars that Sunday. So my head is like, oh, is this a conspiracy? I don't know. I was like, in my head, I was like, what's going on, like in Hollywood? But
well, I'll buy into that. I'm all into conspiracy theories.
Yeah,
There's John. I can see it.
Yet another
Is this a
conspiracy.
PR stunt? I mean, you never know. I think the Academy acted accordingly by suspending him for the next decade, which is, domestic violence should not be taken lightly, and whether it's a male victim or a female victim. And I think that it was sad. It was sad to watch. It was sad to watch him he's such a great actor, to kind of like crumble under that pressure. And yeah.
Yeah, I don't see that as being a intentionally set up conspiracy in that case, but there have been plenty of that were set up and were intended just to get big publicity and to hype somebody's new record or film or whatever. So that's an old tried and true thing in Hollywood. When I was managing rock bands and going down to record at A&M Records, we were always praying that we would get stickered on our records, because that would make you sell 1 million copies just by getting the offensive content sticker.
Oh my God, how funny.
And there were plenty of bands who really intentionally did that. They're not because it was artistically good, it's because it was nasty and they wanted to get a sticker.
Oh
Yeah,
my
that's
God.
sort of
funny.
like all the book bans, people wanting to ban libraries from books now. And all of those books that are
Mhm.
on those lists are starting to sell like hotcakes.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I mean, there's no such thing as bad publicity, right?
right.
So what else are you doing? I mean, is this pretty much consuming your life right now, the work that you're doing with this basically product distribution?
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty, it's kind of evolved into my full-time job, which is it's fun. I love what I do. I was talking to a friend yesterday. I used to, working in corporate America is not for everyone. And I would have a lot of anxiety every Sunday evening before I went to sleep, because I was like dreading my work week. I was dreading like waking up, all the emails, like, I would get emails on the weekends from my boss, and in the title of the email would say like, don't open this until Monday. But of course I opened it because like I have this anxiety of like what, the work week's going to look like. Um, so making that shift and finally leaving corporate America was absolutely terrifying. But I was like, you know what, now I am 100% dependent, like how much money I make, how well I do, the kind of life that I live is up to me now. I'm not depending on a paycheck every 2 weeks. So if I want, what I want, I have to work really hard for it. But luckily I enjoy it. I wake up every morning loving what I'm doing, and I'm able to, create content, and I'm able to be myself. I think, when I did work at Disney, because it was a family friendly company, I felt very censored in the sense, and not that I'm posting like outrageous things, but I was always constantly weary and kind of looking over my shoulder and like, I don't know, if I should do that. And I had planned a podcast and a YouTube series for a long time. Over 3 years ago, I was starting to develop it, and it was audited by my former employer before it even began. And they're like, we can't have you be doing this kind of, of content, because you work for Disney and your name is attached to the brand. So that was shut down. And that I was planning that and building it for similar to my business. It became like my baby, and I was working on it. I had social media accounts for it, and I was working very, very hard to build this brand and build this character that I knew would do very well, because it was during quarantine and people were at home. And that if you go on YouTube, so many YouTubers and podcast hosts really, really blew up during this time because people had more time on their hands and they were at home watching this content. So when that was kind of stripped away from me, I was heartbroken. I was devastated. And now, I am running my business, but I do have the opportunity and the time now to kind of bring that back to life. And I'm hoping to have it ready by this fall. And I'm very, very excited.
Oh, is that the thing you were talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. That's very cool.
I can't share much yet, but it's a lot. And I've been working on it for so long, and I just really, I've built an audience for that on a private Instagram account that know about, like trusted friends that know about it. So they're very excited to see that come to life. But with my business, it's like I'm having to, I make everything, I advertise everything, I do the website, I'm the packer, I'm the shipper, I'm the tax person, I'm the customer service representative, like I'm everything. So when I'm starting this new business, it's like, okay, with my new business venture with the YouTube channel and the podcast, it's like I'm the talent. I am the talent and the business manager. So I definitely do need to hire and find, additional resources because I can't be everywhere at once,
Well, just to be
unfortunately.
clear now, the cancellation of your project at Disney's request, that was not the reason you left Disney, right?
No, that was very at the very beginning. They basically contacted me and they're like, hey, it's been brought to our attention that you have this in the works, and we're gonna have to do a full audit of it if you want to continue, doing it. I think, they want to make sure that the people that are working for them are not um you know doing other projects on Disney's clock, on Disney's time. And I definitely wasn't. I was staying up till like 3 o'clock in the morning working on this project, and my weekends were fully consumed with it. So I worked at Disney. I did my 9 to 5 at Disney, and then this was my passion project on the side before my store business had been set up. And that's not why I left. And I was so new at Disney at that point. I felt kind of scared. I was like, I don't want to lose my job I just started. I have, the insurance, and I'm working in Hollywood. And so I just pushed it to the side. And it had always been in the back of my head. And yeah, when now that I have the opportunity to bring it to life, I was telling my friends, I was like, if I don't do it now, like, when am I going to do it?
Yeah, Disney always has had a bit of a reputation for forcing people that are doing business with them to tone it down and keep the Disney, line, in mind whenever they're doing anything, and that can, really, hold you back if you're wanting to do something that's exceptional and, out of the box. They're more into stay inside the box and don't make noise.
Absolutely. And I think part of that part of the story with, my this new passion project is ever evolving. But you know disney Disney did also shut down, or told me to not post on TikTok anymore, because it didn't align with what they thought. And I was monetizing on TikTok at the time, so when I stopped posting, my viewership went down, my followers went down, and I did lose out on a lot of things. And so the podcast brand and YouTube series shares the same name as my TikTok account. And kind of like, I don't want to give away too much, but kind of like the premise is like they tried to take that away from me, but this is who I am. And I almost shut that account down. I almost changed the name. It's like, no, I don't want to censor myself. I don't want to have to pretend to be someone I'm not. Like, this is me, raw in the cut. Here I am. Like, I'm not going to apologize, for being myself and doing what I love. Life's way too short for all of that. So,
You kind of alluded to this earlier, but there's a huge sort of story I mean, you hear about this occasionally in the media, and a lot of people have been talking about, I've heard a lot of things informally about how it's really, really hard to fill certain kind of jobs now. And some people will just not go to work at like a burger stand, or, it's like Sonic, I think, is having to pay $20 an hour to get people to work there. Just the fact that lower level jobs are so hard to fill post pandemic. And I think it's kind of what you were talking about how people realized they had a chance, they had an opportunity to question, do I really want to do this? Is this something I want to do with my life? So I think that's happening. I'm kind of wondering, clearly we can see what you're doing with your life. Are you in touch with other people who are sort of in the same boat there? Do you have an idea what people in general are doing instead of going to those, lower level jobs that are maybe kind of boring or suffocating or whatever?
yeah, I've noticed with a couple friends and even strangers that have messaged me. Gary, I don't know if you guys know who Gary Vaynerchuk is. He had a quote that he said. He's like, you guys were worried about the great resignation. You need to start worrying about the great never applying in the first place, because people are realizing, I don't need to work a 9 to 5. I don't need to apply to this job doing something that I don't enjoy, when, you know, information, we live in the age of information. There's so much opportunity online to do anything and everything that we want to do. And kind of, our wildest dreams, like opening a store, like 50 years ago, you would have to like get a building, pay for a monthly lease, and then rely on the traffic of the people walking by your business to make it succeed, paying for billboard advertisements or word of mouth. And now, because we have the wild world of the internet, anything is really possible, just depending on how much work you put into it. I've had a couple of friends through my business and through my business successes, like start their own business. I had a friend that's now doing a dog clothing line that's doing very well. And his niche is very specific. He does greyhounds and that's it. And he's doing extremely well. And he's taking a portion of his sales proceeds and donating to them to the anti-greyhound racing organizations. So he's like, yeah, when I saw you were donating, it's like that brings more traffic in and more people are more, willing to buy from somewhere that they know that is, giving back to the community. So
yeah, not greedy.
Yeah, not greedy. And this individual still messages me and he's like, how do you make it look so easy? Like, it's so hard. And I told him, I was like, I have to put on a face and it's a highlight reel. There are times where I cry myself to sleep, where I'm up till 3 o'clock in the morning. It's not easy. It's not for everyone, but you just have to keep pushing. You're going to have really high highs and really low lows in business, but like the highs, and I think like, making something with your own hands and then seeing people enjoy what you're doing, and then other people feeling inspired and wanting to like do something similar. I had a girl message me recently. She pitched her business idea to me, and I was like, oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. Like, absolutely. If you need any help, please reach out. I would love to help you. And she was like, I was so scared to ask you because I didn't want you to think that I was in competition with you. And I told her, I was like, not to sound like the hot shit, but I was like, no one can compete with me because I'm not competing with anyone. Like, I'm competing with myself and the person that I was yesterday. I want everyone to be successful. If you go to the grocery store, for example, and you walk down the bread aisle, there is 50 brands of bread and it's all the same thing. You know what I mean? There's space and room for everyone in every market. I think a lot of people don't follow their dreams and they don't go after what they want because they think it's an oversaturated market, but they forget that there's no such thing as like a new idea anymore. Everything is a copycat.
Yeah, listening to you and some of the ideas you were just talking about, things like donating money to charity to help something that comes out of your business. That's something that I've noticed is more of your generation. My generation was all money grubbers and they they kept every dime. But in recent years, I've seen a lot of companies that are, small companies that are doing that. And, it's not only good advertising because it shows that you're a real person that cares about more than just making a buck, but it just feels good to deal with people. I actually shop with people like that because I'm impressed by the fact that they're doing something other than just making a buck.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, at the end of the day, we're all just trying to make it through this circus that's called life. And if I can, help someone out, even if it's by a small donation or inspiring them like that, I feel like I've done my job. So yeah.
One thing I was thinking about when you were talking about that is Amazon. One of the big stories about Amazon was, it put a lot of businesses out. It killed a lot of businesses in small towns or whatever. But what you don't really hear about is how Amazon facilitated so many really tiny businesses, micro businesses, through its virtual inventory system of letting people sell through the Amazon system. And that is not just Amazon, that's also Shopify, which I know you're using, and Etsy, which you're also using. And I mean, there's all sorts of ways that exist online now to facilitate sales of people to other people, and also the offering of services and so forth. So it's true. Maybe we're just now starting to really see something come to fruition here that was inherent in the internet all along, which is that it allowed people to sort of do their own thing and find their audience or their buyership and profit from that and build a life without having to depend on a large corporate infrastructure to drop dollars into their pockets.
Absolutely. I think, and I think the most exciting thing about, entrepreneurship, it's a huge risk. 90% of small businesses fail. And, the businesses that do succeed, they don't end up generating a profit till about 2 or 3 years into it statistically, but people continue to go and they keep pushing because it's what they enjoy doing. And I was talking to my parents, they're like, well, what if this doesn't work? What if 6 months from now, you're not getting your sales, you can't afford, the cost of living. And it's like, well, then you pivot. I've learned so much from this short 6 months that my business has been open. I can take that knowledge and, turn it into something else. I'm friends with a girl who sold candles on Etsy. They were little candles with like mini flower arrangements. So she sold them as gifts. And she turned that in about 8 months, that business turned into a 6-figure business. She had to hire her boyfriend and her sister to help her because she blew up like on the holidays. Everyone was buying these gifts. And then she realized, she was like, I do not like doing this. I am not a creative person. I do not want anything to do with this. But she realized her passion was in the business aspect of it. And now she's 23 years old, which blows my mind. She's now running a multi-6-figure business, teaching other people how to start businesses, how to sell on Etsy, how to, plan your launches, how to design your website. She was like, I learned so much in the process of creating a 6-figure Etsy candle business that I could teach other people and coach them on how, to build their businesses. And she does ebooks, she does planners. She charges $1,500 to spend a day with her, and she'll sit on your website and she'll redo the whole thing.
Oh, wow.
And she's brilliant, and she does like Instagram video. She's very good on the camera. She has Instagram videos, and she shows you how to bring traffic through Instagram sales, and that's her thing. She's like, I don't have a creative ounce in my body. Like, I am fully business and I love doing business. And her reviews, she's turned so many small businesses, whether they're like jewelry businesses or pet businesses, all these little sticker businesses, on her reviews tab, you see her clients are doing, thousands and thousands of tens of thousands of dollars of sales a month.
That's cool. How do people find her?
So people find her she has a big presence on TikTok now and Instagram. And basically she the first thing that made her viral, she talked about how she used to be severely overweight. And she did this like compilation about how, she was overweight, she was depressed, she was going to school for a degree that she didn't like. And one day, she dropped out of school. And she's like, I'm going to start an Etsy business. She did this like little video kind of recapping the last 8 months of her life and how she blew up to this massive success. And she was just last month, she was featured on and again, it's the internet. It's utilizing the free tools you have, which is the craziest thing. We don't have to pay for the internet. Whoever invented the internet wasn't thinking, because I would pay to log into the internet every day. I would.
Well, I mean, this kind of makes me think about how my last business, the one that I, eventually retired from, I started I was totally focused on risk mitigation, on avoiding risk, on making sure that didn't go in the red, that the business could be sustained. And there's various ways that we did that. Eventually turned into a co-op, in fact. One of the essential things that we were able to do is avoid paying for an office.
Oh,
We didn't have to have any kind of office space at all because we could just meet online. So we were virtual. We were a completely virtual company, and that saved us the cost of the office, and it saved us a bunch of other costs too.
you probably got more done as well.
Yeah,
More
yeah,
productive.
absolutely. And and I won't go into a lot of detail about it, but the evolution of it as a co-op really also helped mitigate risk. Just the idea of people sharing in the risk mitigates risk, So instead of, as the founder and initial owner of the company, instead of me taking on all the risk, one of the things I focused on was having arrangements with people who were working with me that would allow them to help share some of the risk. For instance, if nobody paid us, that they would agree not to be paid if I wasn't getting paid, that sort of thing. And at the time I was doing that, it was just common sense to me. It just made sense. But I also realized that someone else starting the kind of business I was starting might go out and borrow a bunch of money and get an office and put furniture in it and buy a bunch of computers and, kind of go heavily into debt right up front, and then hire a bunch of people. And some of them might sit on the bench for a while, if there's not work for them and so forth. And that is the way it is traditionally done in the USA. And it's a very hard thing to do. And it's harder than ever now. But you can build a business without doing any of that stuff, depending on what you're trying to do.
I think too, it's hard. It's been hard for me, to convince, and I love your perspective on it, because I've had trouble convincing either my parents or other, people in my family, the older generations, that it's a sustainable thing. And, because they're not used to it. They didn't grow up, they grew up, you wake up, you get dressed, you go to work. So, I've had people in my family that says, oh, you're just doing arts and crafts upstairs. It's like, well, my arts and crafts made me more money than I did at Disney, so I'm happy with this. Like, I'm fine with it. Like, I can get, I can, make my own schedule, and I kind of control, how I want my day to go. And I think that freedom is something that a lot of people are kind of itching and wanting more now, more than ever.
So are you going to branch out? Are you thinking about, I know you've got this other thing you're talking about doing. So is that like the next thing for you? How are you going to balance doing that with what you're doing now?
So that is a challenge that I've been like losing sleep over, because I think my new venture definitely has the potential to do something really big. I am friends with some YouTubers that are making like $60,000 a month, and they're reading off a teleprompter. They don't write their own stuff. They're reporting celebrity news and gossip, and it's not original. I mean, they're doing well, and like, I'm good for them. But this idea that I have that's been pitched, I think it has very good potential to be something very big and successful. It's definitely going to take work. It's going to take time. It's tough, because my business right now that I'm running right now, I do really enjoy it as well. I think that I wouldn't want to shut my business down. I think my business would probably have to become streamlined, or things I would have to essentially go to like a third party supplier to like create, like make my designs on versus me hand making everything. I would have to probably order in bulk, or rely on like a drop shipping kind of situation. I really don't even know how that works. But I think eventually the goal is to, I guess, just continue having a presence online, but where I'm able to still kind of give back and help people in the process. That's always been my goal. I think that, life's hard enough as it is. And if I think with you know, I I would be the worst famous person, but like like personalities, like if you're a successful personality, you have the opportunity and the financial stability to help people that you couldn't before. And I think that, using my platform to do so is something that I want to do. So whether that's through a YouTube channel that's monetized or through, continuing to do my business, it's definitely going to be a struggle to kind of balance the two. But I'm fully ready for the challenge. And if I have to hire out or find interns or volunteers or, eat ramen for for 6 months until I can, like, you know what I mean, figure my life out.
Ramen is so great.
I think it's good.
Yeah, I like ramen. Well, we are at the end of our hour.
Wow, it went by so fast.
It did go by fast. This has been a great conversation. Well, thanks so much for joining us again.
Thank you guys. I really love talking with you guys. Y'all asked some really thought-provoking questions, and I like that because
it was very educational for us too.
Thank you. I feel like on social media, I'm asked the dumbest questions by people, and like you guys are like, you're making me dive deep into myself and think. So I appreciate.
Feel free to promote Plutopia as much as you want to.
Absolutely, all over.
Yeah, and if you get overworked, John and I can run your call center.
Perfect. I'm
That'd be great.
for it. You guys have great voices, so they'll take me seriously for once.
Well, thanks so much.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Okay.
You can follow the Plutopia News Network at plutopia.io. On Facebook, go to @Plutopia News. On Twitter, it's @Plutopia. With John Lepkowski, I'm Scoop Sweeney. This is the Plutopia News Network, 20 minutes into the future.